Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is part 4 of What If Naruto Was a Pervert in Highschooldxd. If you guys enjoyed this what if, then comment, like and subscribe. Let's go. Also, the video goal is 10 likes. So, let me know that you're interested in the series and you want the next part. Then go ahead and check out the other what ifs in the channel. Before we start, please do support for more awesome content. Don't forget to subscribe and also share the video with your friends and link in the description. So, let's go. After the molesting, the two guests were taken to a room where they were left to recuperate. The other occupants of the room decided to meet to discuss the way forward. This spark molesting revealed a lot of things, mainly that the two exorcists were not even close to being ready to undertake the mission they were given. The church was practically handing their last two fragments to the enemy. Right now the team was assembled in the conference room with Graphia also present as well as Sona and her queen. So what do you guys think about our guest's strength? Rias asked for everyone's assessment, although she knew the answer to that. They are okay for fighting low-class enemies, but for their current mission they are terrible, Shueilin gave her input. They are a train wreck. The monotone voice of Kaneko, who took to seating in Naruto's lap while he was petting her head. They are definitely going to be roadkill, Akeno finished. So what do you suggest we do? I was thinking of watching from a distance, but after the little display I don't think we can afford that anyway. The enemy is in our territory and they possess powerful weapons. They exorcists hunting them possess the last pieces of the weapons they need, so we need to get involved, Rias said. You are right about that. We can no longer stay out of this. We need to send a message to the Mao about the situation, and while we wait for their answer we will be taking action from here. If you don't mind, Graphia, would you relay the situation to the Mao? Sona said while looking at Graphia, who looked hesitant for his bit but agreed. What do you think, Naruto? Rias asked Naruto, who was very quiet. He has been like this after Kiba's outburst when they said that the exorcist would be staying at Naruto's house. The boy blew a gasket and stormed out, citing that he had no interest in being the peerage anymore. Well, for now we have made ourselves a target if the enemy was tracking these two. From what we know, the enemy is good at hiding and they have powerful players. However, they also don't know how powerful we are, so we will use that to our advantage. If our guests don't do anything stupid, then we will be okay. Okay, scratch that, let them do something stupid, it will be to our advantage, Naruto said with a grin on his face. Are you saying we use the exorcists as bait? Graphia asked, somewhat surprised by the suggestion. Yes. This will force the enemy to reveal themselves. Hinata and I are good at staying in the shadows, so we will be shadowing our guests here. We need to know who we are dealing with and we can bail them out if things get hairy, Naruto explained. He was more of a get into the fight and find who you are fighting later kind of guy, but in this situation he wanted to know who has the guts to steal the Excalibur fragments with such efficiency. What about Kiba? Rias asked, worried about her rogue knight. Even though he said some pretty mean words to her, she still cared about her knight. Don't worry, I got a clone tailing him. However, I am going to have a man-to-man chat with him when he comes back, Naruto said darkly. He didn't need another Sasuke running around, one was enough. With that, everyone went to get a good night's rest. Well, almost everyone. Akeno and Hinata were off to their own devices. Hey Akeno, how do you work that devil tube thing? Hinata asked her fellow deranged pervert. It's pretty easy. Do you have something cooking? Akeno asked as her sadistic senses tingled, detecting a very fun idea coming up. Oh yeah, there is an advert I wanted to post, and let's just say Naruto is going to get his hands full. Mwahahaha. Cue lightning flashes in the background, Hinata said as she laughed like a maniac, with Akeno joining in. Their evil laughter could be heard echoing in the mansion. Will you deranged maniacs shut up, we are trying to sleep. With Naruto. When Naruto got to his room, he did his daily evening routine, which mainly consisted of munching on a few panties that he liberated from the girls when they were having their meeting, to fawning over his collection of ultimate panties. Speaking of ultimate panties, it about time he added a few more, but he first had to identify his targets. From what he heard from Zirconis, Office was out of the question, yet. Yo, if you are done, I have some exciting news. I finally managed to find a way to get you to the seal. We will find out what happened to your friends from the message they left, Zirconis said lazily. Trying to find a way to pull Naruto through was a hustle. Plus he didn't actually find a way, Naruto's access just opened on its own. It was like there was a timer that when it ran out Naruto would be granted access again. But Naruto really didn't need to know that. What really, that's great man, thank you. So what do we need to do? Naruto asked excitedly. He was one step closer to finding out what happened to his friends. He really missed those guys. Just do what you usually did when you entered your mind, it should be easy to do that now. Bullshit Lair, Zirconis instructed his partner. Naruto sat on his bed cross-legged as he focused on entering his mindscape. A few seconds later Naruto found himself in a world with different areas. One desert, an ocean, a lava lake and a forest to which represented his friend's preferred environments. Right above him Naruto raised an eyebrow as he spotted Zirconis. His form was what intrigued Naruto. He thought Zirconis would have preferred the English dragon form, not the Chinese dragon form. Chibi-sized too. Zirconis came and wrapped himself around Naruto's neck, settling in quite nicely. Naruto looked at him with an amused expression. What? Zirconis asked, looking at Naruto. Nothing, it's just that I thought dragons were all about size and fierceness, not this cute little thing, Naruto said, resisting the urge to just sit down and pet he little thing until he wakes up. Ya, dragons are all about size and whose dick is bigger than the other in Albion and Jade Dragon's case. As for me, I am all about women's clothing and becoming the epitome of perverseness, Zirconis declared, getting an amen from Naruto. With that Naruto started heading towards the center of the forest as directed by his partner. When they got there Naruto spotted a ball made of white energy floating 3 feet from the ground. Naruto assumed that that was the message left by the guys, so he went over and touched it. When he did, things got a bit strange. Okay, a lot strange. First thing that happened was that there was a bright light and Naruto felt himself, his consciousness, being pulled out of his body and being transported somewhere. Next thing that happened was that he found himself in a magnificent island resort filled with creatures of all kinds, including humans too. Okay, what just happened and where the hell are we? Naruto asked his partner, dreading that he might have just died and ended up in this very beautiful place, although it was strange that he couldn't smell or feel anything against his skin. No way, it can't be, Zirconis said, his eyes widened as he recognized this place of legend. Hey Zirconis, do you know what this place is? Naruto asked his partner. Kid, this place is the most coveted place in the entire multiverse. Every powerful being knows of this place and they even make reservations to come here. No matter who you are and what you are doing, when your reservation is accepted your ass appears here. This kid is Vacation Island. Zirconis exclaimed. He always wanted to come here but his reservations were always rejected. Gee, I wonder why, the author thought sarcastically. So you are saying this is a vacation spot for all super powerful beings in the multiverse across all dimensions. Where do I sign up? Think of all the panties we can harvest, he, Naruto said with a pervy giggle as he thought of stealing and molesting some super-powered women. Although he did wonder why was allowed here if this place allows beings who made reservations. Please note that I am not going to describe the place or its being well, except for a few if necessary. I am just going to give their names. While this was happening they saw 2 beings that by all rights looked like villains. Okay Darkseid, this time we will crush that little twerp, Thanos said in his red trunks while holding volleyball. The two went to the beach where 5 minutes later there was a large boom followed by an earthquake and a huge gust of wind. Damn it Saitama, that's the 50th ball this week. Can't you hold back enough to not destroy the ball? Darkseid shouted at Saitama, who gave a lazy sorry. Ya, weird place. Off to the side they a guy called Julius Novachrono fawning over a necromancer who can make zombies with her words. And then there was a. Okay, what the heck? Dude, look, a shaved cat. Exclaimed Zirconis as he looked at a certain god of destruction. Who are you calling a shaved cat, you little garden ornament? Beerus fired back as he was pissed off at being called that a lot. Who are you calling little? And these days cats come with fur. Did you really think that would get rid of your hairball problem? Zirconis said as he took satisfaction in seeing a lot of tick appear on the cat's head. Says the chibi dragon, who is smaller than the smallest hatchling. You are like an animated children's toy. And a lizard at that, Beerus said with a smirk. That smirk was gone the moment someone opened his mouth. Damn, a talking shaved pussy with a huge ego, Naruto muttered, but the cat heard him. Zirconis was on the floor laughing himself to death at the silent innuendo. Shaved pussy, that's a classic. Naruto on the other was confused as to why the cat was angry at him. All he said was shaved pussy. Oh. Sorry man, it's not what you think. Whatever you think I meant is not what I meant. And you weren't even meant to hear that. Naruto tried to explain as sweat poured out of him when he saw the devastating power of the cat. You are so dead. I am going to erase you out of existence, Beerus said before he was stopped by a loud booming voice that came from nowhere and somewhere at the same time. Beerus, enough. You don't want to get kicked out before your vacation is over, do you, and be banned for the millennium from coming here. This is a place of peace, so no fighting. I am so sorry Supreme One, it won't happen again. Beerus furiously apologized to the owner of the island, who was also the most powerful being in the entire multiverse. See to it that it doesn't. And you Naruto, you are a guest here, so no causing me headaches with your shenanigans, the voice lamented as Naruto nodded in agreement after seeing his partner freezing like a statue in fear. The atmosphere was destroyed when they heard the voice giggling. Shaved. Pussy. That's a good one. This left the three to face fault. After that the three made up and talked a bit. They separated as Naruto went to look around while wondering why they were allowed here. Does this mean his friends were here too? As if answering his question. Son Goku Special. 5-tail splash. Watch this. Octo Super Cannon Ball. Came some familiar voices followed by splashes and laughter. Naya, that's the staff. Work that back, came another familiar voice. Naruto turned and saw one of his friend, dog-sized, getting a massage from, whatever that thing was. Matabi. The two-tailed hellcat pecked up when she heard a familiar voice. Her eyes widened before she jumped away from the massage table straight at Naruto, who opened his arms to hug his friend. Naruto, she shouted before she tried hug him, but she went through him. Both of them blinked before she tried again, meeting the same result. They both then had a look of realization. He was a damn thought projection. Oh sorry, forgot you were a thought projection. Anyway, it's good to see you. Hey guys, Naruto is here and he brought the pervy lizard with him. Matabi shouted, getting the attention of the others, who immediately swarmed Naruto with excitement dancing in their eyes. Hey, I am not a lizard, you damn flaming cat. What the heck happened to your appearance? You look different. Zirconis wanted to batter with the cat, but her appearance threw him off. This wasn't what she looked like the last time they met. Come to think of it, some of the famous 9 looked different or funny in his opinion. I mean, a fat raccoon dog and a fox bunny human. A lot has happened when we disappeared, but enough about that. We are so happy to see you, kid, and your panty exploits were really entertaining, he he he, Kurama laughed. He was happy the kid was doing okay and getting laid. That place was doing him a lot of good, unlike his previous dimension. Hello, let's get to the part where you have bunny ears. The last time we saw each other you looked like an actual fox. Zirconis asked, really wanting to know. Naruto was confused until he got a look at the other bijuu. Some of them looked different, they looked like actual animals. Shukaku and Matabi looked the same. Isobu was an actual 3-tailed tortilla, Son Goku looked like an actual monkey, Kokuo looked like an actual horse, Saiken was a badger, Chome was a beetle, Wild Yuki and Kurama looked the same. Okay, now that's just weird. How did they change like that? Well, when that Kagaya summoned us to her world, she tried to forcibly merge us, which resulted in that ugly monstrosity. Worse, the sage separated us incorrectly, then created these bodies for us. Some of us didn't look like this, Kurama explained, somewhat annoyed by his appearance. So why do you still look like that? Naruto asked, to which Kurama looked even more annoyed. That's because mom thought he looked cute with bunny ears, Matabi said cheerfully. Naruto took some time to process what she just said. Wait, mom. Well, that was unexpected. The bijuu had a mother. Didn't see that coming. He saw a shadow looming over him and turned around before freezing. Hello Naruto, nice to finally meet you, woof. With Kiba. Walking around the city, Kiba was deep in thought. What he did was eating him up on the inside. Rias was the one that rescued him from certain death and gave him a chance at life, at revenge. She gave him all that he could ever ask for, all that he could ever have hoped for. She gave him a place to stay, food, money, and most importantly a family. And what did he do to repay her? Well, he abandoned her and his new family, all for the sake of getting his revenge. His revenge was his whole reason for living, and no one was going to get in his way. One way or the other he was going to destroy those damn swords. While he was busy having his revenge fantasy in his head, he never noticed that his feet had carried him to an abandoned part of the city. Nor did he notice that he had attracted some unwanted attention. Kiba snapped out of his daydreaming and found himself in an abandoned warehouse. Sighing to himself, he was about to turn around and go home when he heard a very familiar voice that sent shivers down his spine. "Why hello you shitty devil, fancy meeting you in a shitty place like this," the deranged voice said, coming from above him. Whirling around while simultaneously equipping himself with 2 demonic katanas, Kiba's eyes widened when he got a good view of the person. That familiar mop of silver hair and that same deranged smirk. Only one person had that face, and that person was dead. "Shitty priest." Kiba all but stuttered. "It's impossible, he should be dead." "Who the hell is shitty priest, you shitty devil?" the insane rogue exorcist shouted. Kiba looked confused as to why this guy didn't know his name until. "Oh, that's why. How are you alive, freed?" Kiba shouted, wanting to know how this maniac was alive. The last time he saw him, Naruto obliterated him. "Who the hell is freed?" "Oh, you must be talking about that weakling of a genetic sample donor." "No, I am not him. My name is Fred Selzen." The now dubbed Fred introduced himself, ending in a weird dramatic pose, making him even creepier. "Really? Fred? How unimaginative," both Kiba and a hidden clone Naruto thought while sweat dropping. "What do you mean genetic sample donor?" Kiba asked, but in his head he already had a rough idea of what he meant. Fred grinned as he looked at Kiba. "Oh, I am a clone of that fool. I was created from the remains of what was left of that fool. I still have his memories, but I am way better than him. My body is stronger and faster than his. And here is the kicker, I have a high aptitude for holy swords, he, Fred explained, being proud of what he was. "But that would make you just a damn experiment." Kiba shouted, appalled that someone would be proud to be an experiment. "Takes one to know one," Fred said with a grin, clearly pushing Kiba's buttons, and it was working. Kiba became enraged at being called that. "I am not an experiment, you damn psychotic lunatic," while Kiba shouted, practically foaming from the mouth with anger. "Why, thank you. The people I killed when I was training didn't call me such a colorful name, I like it. But we are not here to debate on who is what, where, when and how. I want to show you this baby right here before I kill you," Fred said as he drew a sword that made Kiba both angry and scared at the same time. "Don't know if it's possible." It was a freaking Excalibur sword. Kiba gritted his teeth in anger at seeing the object of his misery in front of him. This was his chance to destroy one of those accursed swords, finally. "You like. This is Excalibur Rapid. I am going to have so much fun shoving this baby right up that devilish rear end of yours, and I guarantee that you will love it," Fred said in an insane manner while making thrusting motions using the sword as his you-know-what. Kiba visibly blanched at the idea, but all that was superseded by his anger and thirst for revenge. So he attacked, blindly might I add. Fred just smirked while the hidden Naruto clone frowned. Kiba was being reckless by having his anger cloud his judgment. When they get home he was going to torture that kid, but for now Shitty Priest 2.0 was going to teach Kiba a lesson on Naruto's behalf. Both combatants clashed, with Kiba attacking a bit more forceful while Fred was dodging Kiba's attacks while laughing, which further infuriated Kiba. They clashed a few more minutes before they separated. Kiba was gritting his teeth, having failed to wipe that smirk off that crazy nut's face. So he decided to use his superior night speed to take his opponent down. Tensing his muscles, he took a deep breath and disappeared in a burst of speed and appeared behind his opponent. He was ready to decapitate him when, "Wow, you are pretty light on your feet there, shitty devil," came the voice of Fred from behind Kiba, whose eyes widened as he jumped away to see Fred was in the spot he was previously in. "What the hell, how did he move so fast? From the shocked look on your face you might be wondering how I did that. Well, I did tell you that I am superior to my shitty donor plus Excalibur Rapid, the name says it all," Fred explained while taking pleasure in seeing a hint of fear in his opponent's face. That fear was quickly squashed down by the desire for revenge. He wasn't going to hold back either. Deactivating Naruto's gravity seals, Kiba went full speed, leaving an after image where he was standing. Fred grinned as he too disappeared, meeting Kiba in the middle. Then began the deadly dance of swordplay. But as time went on it became apparent that Kiba was losing, as evidenced by the numerous cuts that appeared on his body. Breaking away, Kiba made some distance between himself and his opponent. He then fell to one knee, panting, his face contorting to that of pain. "Ya, holy swords and devils don't mix." He was now feeling the effects of the holy energy poisoning him. It took a lot of willpower not to just roll on the ground screaming bloody murder. It really hurt. This was really a stupid idea to fight this guy alone without backup or anyone knowing where he was. He was now starting to regret all the things he said to Rias and abandoning his family. Now he was going to die and he knew it. All he could do was try and figure out a way to escape. His thoughts were interrupted by a fist paying a visit to the face. He tried to right himself but Fred came in with punch to the gut making Kiba cough some blood. Fred wanted to enjoy this so he opted to beat the kid senseless before finishing him off. Well, he was a sadist after all. So Kiba had to endure 5 minutes of sheer torturous beatdown. He was being thrown around like a rag doll. He was useless. His body had already given up on him. All he could do was hope this ends soon. The beatdown ended with Kiba receiving a kick that launched through the door out of the warehouse where he rolled helplessly until he came to a stop at a certain someone's feet. Well, if it isn't our runaway knight. Damn dude, you don't look so hot, Naruto said in a somewhat strained voice. He was very angry at Kiba but he let the beating go on way too far. Looking at the bloody mess that was Kiba, he felt remorse for letting this happen. Well, the dude needed to learn the hard way and Asia can fix him up. Kiba struggled to look up. All he could make out was a mop of blonde hair and glowing blues and he instantly knew who this was. He tried to speak but that caused him to cough up blood. We will talk later when we get home. Give me a minute, Naruto said, turning his attention to Fred who looked pissed off at seeing him. So Fred, huh? Really, from the sea of names out there you chose to upgrade Freed to Fred. It's more like you downgraded by removing the E. Let's call you Shitty Priest 2.0, Naruto said in a somewhat sarcastic manner, hiding his anger. You shitty devil, I am going to kill you for what you did. I have my donor's memories and seeing me getting ripped to pieces isn't fun. So be a good little shit and let me kill you, Fred said as he disappeared in a burst of speed ready to torture another shitty devil. The shit stain was inside his sword, inching closer until he found himself stuck to the wall of the warehouse and a painful feeling in his gut. At first he couldn't breathe before he started coughing with blood coming out of his mouth. Looking at the direction of the devil, he saw him looking his direction with an impassive look and his right foot raised. It took Fred a split second to realize what had happened. The little shit just kicked him and he didn't even see it. Even while using his sword speed ability. How the hell is that possible? Well, I gotta get going now, see ya, Naruto said, giving Fred the finger before taking Kiba and disappearing in a poof of smoke. Fred let loose a string of curses at letting those shitty devils escape before going back to base, not noticing someone following him in the shadows. Back home. Arriving back home, Naruto made his way to their resident healer. He got to Asia's room and knocked at her door. The opened, showing a sleepy Asia in her cute nightwear. However, that sleep was wiped out when she saw the state Kiba was in. Oh my Kiba, what happened? She screamed as she got to healing him. The scream woke up the others who got out of their rooms to see a badly beaten Kiba and Asia healing him. Almost everyone looked horrified seeing Kiba like this. Rias was the worst as she was by Kiba's side the moment she saw the state he was in. Even the two exorcists felt pity for the poor knight. Naruto, what the hell happened to Kiba? Rias asked the clone Naruto as she watched Asia work her magic. She was afraid Naruto had done this. He ran into Shitty Priest 2.0. It seems we have another Orochimaru on our hands and this one means business, Naruto said, to which only Hinata knew what he meant. Please don't me, we have another freak who gets off on experimenting on people, she whined. Orochimaru was bad enough and she had seen Captain Mayuri in the Soul Society and now another freak here in this dimension. Just her luck. Who in the world is this Shitty Priest 2.0 you are talking about? Xenovia, being the bold one, asked. Freed, I mean Fred, at least that's what he calls himself. He is a clone of Freed, a stray priest I put down. Now someone decided to clone that nutcase. Not only that, but his combat abilities are better than the original. Worse, he has a fragment, Naruto said in a serious tone. What? He had a fragment and you let it get away? Xenovia shouted, getting a nod from Naruto. Before the girl blew a fuse, he explained his reason for letting the enemy go. The reason was simple: Fred was going to lead them to his creator, and with the fragment still in his possession they will have an idea of what the enemy's plan was. The clone had made another clone to tail the maniac after his fight with Kiba. So that was your reasoning. So when this clone of yours finds out where the enemy's hideout is, you will tell us, right? The timid Irina asked, all the while averting her eyes from Naruto. She couldn't look him in the face without picturing his mighty sword. The magnificent mighty, damn it, no naughty thoughts. Yeah, we will tell you, but as for action we need to work together. You guys, if I am being honest, won't stand a chance. You guys said that lots of fellow priests were sent here before you and they were all killed, right? So it stands to reason that the enemy is powerful and I can't in good conscience let a pair of good panties like yours go to waste, Naruto said with a sly grin at the end, earning a blush from the girls because of many reasons. Era Naruto-kun, so you are not concerned about the girls? Akino asked with a naughty smile. Yeah, and them girls too. I can't let the owners of such fine panties die. It's hard to come by good panties these days, Naruto said before dodging an angry fist from a blushing Xenovia while Irina just covered her face. All this was done to lighten the grim mood that had befallen them. So with Kiba's health out of the woods thanks to Asia, who Naruto promised to give a good romp making the shy girl faint, everyone went to bed with two thoughts. One, Issei was going to wreak havoc once he finds out what happened to Kiba, and two, poor Kiba was going to be tortured for losing again. But Akino had other ideas. So exorcists, what do you think of Naruto-kun's cloning ability? It's a very useful ability, I must say, even though all we know about it is that he can make lots of them, but I can see its many applications, Xenovia said with a sigh. They were surprised when they heard about this ability. They tried to get information, but the devils were tight-lipped. Era like having 3 clones to yourself, each one filling all your holes at the same time. Oh, the pleasure, Akino said in a sensual exited tone. She let out an amused chuckle when she saw the innocent girls go red-faced and start stuttering before they ran to their room. Oh, those are some good candidates for recruitment. It would be boring if the harem was just devils and 1 dragon lady. They need some diversity, damn it. Next morning, everyone was up early. No one slept well that night because of the tension in the air. Surprisingly, Issei was at Naruto's house early in the morning, his instincts having told him to do that. When he heard what happened to Kiba, he was out for blood. He wanted to beat the crap out of Shitty Priest 2.0, but he didn't know where he was. So everyone was waiting in the living room for something to happen, or rather they were waiting for the clone to report. The clone was sending messages to them about his progress, and so far the loony was moving around town aimlessly. But the clone did pick out a few fallen angels following Fred, so soon things will happen. However, there was a slight problem. The original Naruto wasn't waking up from his meditation no matter what they tried. They tried everything, and I mean everything, from blowjobs to even panties, he didn't budge. Luckily Naruto, the clone Naruto made to shadow Kiba, was a bit overpowered than regular clones. The clone hypothesized that the original went in too deep into his meditation, so all they can do is wait. Also, Graphia wasn't back, so they didn't know if the Mao were coming to take charge. In another room, another blonde was waking up from his slumber. He felt like shit, like he had gone 5 rounds with a bull and lost. Looking around, he saw that this wasn't his room. He recollected his thoughts before he remembered that he lost and that Naruto came to his rescue. He relaxed a bit before getting out of bed. He saw some change of clothes which he assumed belonged to Naruto. After changing, he went downstairs and found everyone in the living room. Just seeing these guys just made his heart ache because of all the awful things he said and how he abandoned them. He never felt so ashamed in his life. He felt like a dishonorable knight, which he was. Will you look at that sleeping beauty is awake, Naruto said, prompting everyone to look in the direction he was looking. They saw their wayward knight up and about, looking healthy albeit a bit tired. Kiba-kun, you are awake. How are you feeling? Do you still have any pain? Asia asked him. I am fine, thank you for saving my life, Kiba said before he caught sight of his king. Just seeing her concerned face was enough to make him avert his eyes from her. Suddenly he found the floor interesting. Was it always this shiny, and were these tiles this beautiful? There was a pregnant silence that followed. The exorcists were feeling nervous being caught in an awkward situation like this. Kiba, Rias was cut off before she could finish her sentence. Kiba knelt down and bowed. I am sorry everyone. I am so sorry. I betrayed you all. I betrayed my family and worse, my king, who gave me everything I could ever have asked for. I let my revenge blind me to what's important until I was almost killed. I have no right to be in your presence, so by your leave I will be going now, Kiba said as he prepared to leave. I call dibs on ramming my foot up his cranky ass, Issei said, cutting Naruto off. Hey, no fair. I wanted to kick his ass. Naruto whined. Kiba looked at too surprised. Looking at the others, he saw them smiling at him as Rias made her way to him. She further surprised him by hugging and whispered, "I wanted to say I am glad you are okay. You are a member of our family, there is no way we could have kicked you out," was all she said to a frozen Kiba who could do nothing but cry. Well, at least that ass-kicking knocked some sense into him, otherwise we would have had another Sasuke on our hands, Hinata said. If he had turned out like that, either her or Naruto wouldn't have hesitated to kill him. Yeah, if he had turned out like that, I would have put him down without a second thought. Naruto voiced his thoughts, shocking everyone. You are joking, right? Akino asked, hoping he was just joking, but his tone spoke volumes. No, I am not kidding. How do you think Hinata died in the first place? It was because I let my naivety get the best of me. Once I had someone who I treated like a brother. He had a revenge complex like Kiba did. He tried to kill me twice, tried to enslave some friends of mine, and succeeded in killing my girlfriend, so believe when I tell you that I won't let it happen again. Everyone looked shocked. They turned to Hinata, who nodded to confirm the story. Well, that was another part of Naruto's life they didn't know about. I promise you this, I won't turn out like that. I have learned my lesson the hard way, Kiba said. That's good to know, man, otherwise it would be boring with just the two of us guys and no Shroud dude to try and corrupt, Naruto said with a sly grin. I am not Shroud, I will have you know, shouted a red-faced Kiba, not believing what just came out of his mouth. Your face speaks volumes, dude. We can't even describe the female anatomy without you becoming a blushing mess, Issei said with a grin as he hung his arm on Kiba's shoulder. The exorcists looked on with amazement. This is far from the way they pictured devils would behave. They thought that that knight would be killed or tortured, for sure not this. They are acting like a real family, forgiving each other like it never happened. Is this why the higher-ups are so interested in this Naruto character? By the way, Kiba, you lost twice now. So you know what that means when the boss wakes up, clone Naruto said with a grin which was mirrored by Issei. Kiba was pale-faced, realizing what was going to happen. Fuck. Later that evening, after some light training and waiting, the gang assembled yet again. Naruto still hadn't woken up and Graphia was still to return. Clone Naruto was running out of chakra and Hinata had to send her clone to cover the spying. Right now said clone had just dispelled, sending her memories to the original, who smiled. Well, it seems we have found their hideout. From what my clone has seen, there are a few fallen, all of which are low level. Shitty Priest 2.0 is there, and so is someone who looks to be in charge. They are in an abandoned church a few kilometers south of here, Hinata said, relaying the information she got from her clone. Rias took a thoughtful posture, trying to figure out what to do next. First, they need to identify how well defended the place is and if they can win the fight. Knowing how impatient the exorcists are, she wouldn't be surprised if they just waltz in, their guns blazing. So they have to do this tonight. Okay, Hinata, can we win the fight, or do we need to call Sona's group too? And how well defended is the place? She asked. Well, the place can easily be infiltrated and they have low numbers, but that's just the thing. It's too easy, plus the one in charge is weak. There are no labs to indicate any experiments or research taking place, which leads me to believe it's a sub-base, Hinata said with a frown. From the way the other Excalibur swords were stolen, it indicates some powerful players, and the ones she saw in that base were weak, well except for Shitty Priest. So yeah, definitely another Orochimaru and his love for numerous bases. Okay, just to be safe, Akino contact Sona and have her team meet us at the base. Hinata, can you remove some of the holy objects consecrating the place when we get there? Already done, although there was not much to remove. Okay, we move out. And exorcists, I know this isn't allowed, but circumstances have forced my hand. We are temporary allies, no, but this is my territory, so I am in charge. We work together if we are to get to the bottom of this, Rias said in a firm tone which left no room for arguments. The exorcists just nodded, wanting to finish this mission as soon as possible and cause fewer problems than they have caused. The clone Naruto said he will stay behind to inform the boss if he wakes up. Revel opted to stay behind and look after Naruto, while Shueilin decided to tag along. So the group all teleported to the church where they met Sona's group waiting for them. After strategizing a bit, they decided that Sona and her group, with the help of Hinata, handle the security situation while the rest head for Fred and his master. Sona's group went in first, taking out the guard, making a path for Rias' group. Sona and her team were surprised at how efficient and effective Hinata neutralized the enemy. She was just disappearing into the shadows and the next thing the enemy were falling down unconscious. It was frightening and amazing at the same time. And while the security was occupied with the intruders, Rias and her team moved quickly toward their targets. Taking down some stray fallen that were unlucky to run into them, they burst into an underground chamber and came face to face with Fred. "Well, hello shitty devils, nice of you to drop by, I was getting bored you know," Fred said. Asia quickly hid behind Rias, having bad memories associated with that maniac. Kiba was trying to rein in his anger at seeing the one who humiliated him and defeated him. The other members of the peerage though. Holy shit, he was right. That's basically Freed who just removed the E to become Fred. Even the way they talk is the same, Issei exclaimed, not containing his surprise. The resemblance was so uncanny. Shut up you shitty devil. I am not like that weakling, I am far superior. I am the better version, ha ha ha. Fred laughed as lightning flashed behind him. And you have a superior ego too, Akino commented. This caused Fred to become angry and drew not one but two Excalibur swords, putting the devils on edge. Fred saw this and he smirked. He loved that expression on his prey's faces. Fred stopped playing with them and just end them, came a voice from the balcony that caused Kiba to freeze. He recognized that voice. It was the same voice haunted him in his nightmares, the voice that was the cause of said nightmares. He began to shake as his rage came back full force plus extra too. Rias must have noticed this as she put a reassuring hand on Kiba's shoulders, calming him down. She then looked at the new player who looked at them with arrogance rolling off him. She wanted to ask who he was, but Xenovia gave her an answer. Today justice will be served. For your crimes you will fall today, Fred and Valpier Galilei. There were many things that Naruto thought he would never see in this world. Skimpy sexy kunoichi, Ichiraku ramen and pink-haired banshee, but he never thought that he would see those eyes. Red ripple pattern and 9 tomo, and a weird-looking byakugan with a purple flower pattern as the third eye. Ya definitely didn't expect this. And the owner was a black and gray wolf half the size of the bijuu with 10 freaking tails. So you can guess he was kind of freaking out right now, and so was his partner Zirconus. Said dragon made himself look as small as possible, not to mention made himself look as cute as possible. He was definitely afraid of her. Kurama, please explain because I wanna run away now, Naruto said as he kept eye contact with the she-wolf. He had a bad experience with a 10-tailed creature which was fugly by the way, so he was on guard. At least this one was cute and not that ugly mother-father. Ya couldn't put the F word there. Why thank you Naruto. If I had a demi-human body I would have paid you a visit, the wolf said. She gained an amused look when she saw Naruto's shocked expression. What the hell? Did she just read his mind? Was she psycho or something? Yes, I can read your mind and do other stuff to it. And it's psychic not psycho, woof, the she-wolf said. Kurama sighed. He and Naruto had been friends for a while and he told Naruto that the tailed beasts came from another dimension and a little bit about the Ukai faction. He didn't get into detail about him home or his origins. Maybe now is the time to tell him the whole truth, including some secrets even the supernatural world didn't know about. He will also have to meet the guy who pulled the strings to get Naruto to the new world. Luckily the guy was on vacation island. Zirconus for his part was doing his best not to be noticed. He knew whose presence he was in and he wasn't about to piss her off. The legendary 9 were a problem. Each of them could easily be in the top 10 and their combined form was even more troublesome, but the wolf was a different story. She scared the crap out of him period. He met her once along with the idiots Red and White. Those idiots challenged her and lost spectacularly at that. It was like a mother disciplining her children and he almost felt sorry for them. Well, almost. This is going to be a long story that I can tell you. So let's begin with our mother. One day 2 wolves met and they liked each other and they went behind a bush and POW. Matabi couldn't finish her insane and perverted story before her mother clobbered her into the ground. The other's sweat dropped when Matabi got back up and ran away while sticking her tongue out with her mother hot on her heels. Ehime awkward story aside, that's our mother Origami, the 10-tailed wolf. She is considered to be one of the most powerful if not the most powerful being in our universe. You may ask why she is unheard of. The reason is that she likes to keep a low profile, so she manipulates the ranking table and removes herself from it. ONS too. It's the reason we are not found in the top 10 or our descendants. We don't like to be on the spotlight, Kurama explained. Okay, that's one crazy powerful wolf there. But Kurama not wanting to be in the spotlight is way off. I mean, we are talking about a guy that keeps reminding everyone that he is the most powerful among the siblings. Ya Naruto wasn't buying it. Now our mother observed that there were factions being created, so she decided to start one of her own. So she divided her power into 9 and manifested as thus she is our mother. There is no male wolf in the picture. Anyway, each of us inherited some part of her power. For example, Kurama closed his eyes then opened them again, showing red glowing Rinnegan eyes, which shocked Naruto. He wanted to ask why. Kurama never used them before, but he had a feeling all will be explained. As you can see, I inherited these. We also have a combined form which we can get up to 3/4 of her power, and we look like a wolf, not that ugly thing you saw back then. So each of us decided to form clans of our own which could reproduce. And thus the Ukai faction was formed. Each clan has at least 2 guardians who are more powerful than the rest. They don't lead by the way, they just look after the clan, protecting them from outside forces. These guys, you could say, are our avatars because we don't normally come out to play, he. As to how we got to the elemental nations, well, Kagaya decided it was a good idea summon a creature from outside her realm, so she brought us to your world, then failed to combine us, resulting in that thing. We could have fought back, but we were weakened by forced summoning. Wait a minute, that goddess chick whose PN ties I am going to steal, by the way, told me that it's impossible to get to this dimension without permission. So how did Kagaya summon you guys? It didn't make sense that Kagaya could do such unless she was granted permission to do that, wasn't she? Kurama nodded. Why the hell did they allow that? You guys suffered because of that, and also my kind Jinchuriki. So why? Naruto shouted. He was angry, no, he was downright pissed. Well, it's simple. You, Kurama answered. Naruto blinked, then blinked again. He cleaned his ears to make sure he wasn't hearing things. Say who now? You dumbass. All roads lead to you, the child of prophecy. All we had to do was to wait for the child of prophecy. Our powers were sealed away as a precaution, otherwise I would have broken out and destroyed Konoha. The point is, we were sent to assist the child of prophecy. We were not the only ones from this dimension that came to assist you, Kurama said. But I am not the child of prophecy. Hagoromo said me and that asshat were the child of prophecy, Naruto said, remembering what Hagoromo said. That dude was obviously high to name Sasuke as a child to bring peace. Oh, that buffoon didn't know what he was talking about. You are the child of prophecy, but not in your world, but here in the new one. Your shinobi world will always have wars and there is no stopping that. But here was where the real prophecy was made. Oh, I remember that one. It's awesome, nya. A child born from hardship shall go to a new world. He shall unite many who are at war. From the depths of hell to the heights of the synapse he shall unite all. By his mighty sword he shall conquer and unite all factions into one family. By the power of women's undergarments shall he be empowered. Enemies shall be turned into friends, even his most powerful foe from his home shall fall by his mighty sword. Ha 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 ha, Matabi said when she gave her mother the slip. Ya, not happening. Plus I don't have a sword, Naruto said in a deadpan tone. He was thinking of Excalibur, but the sword was kinda broken at the moment. However, everyone there began to laugh hard, even Zirconis. Dude, you are clueless. You don't know that you have already began. I mean, you slew a dragon, then a bunch of devils plus a human, ha 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 ha. With that might sword of yours you are bringing peace. That's the most hilarious prophecy I have ever heard, Zirconis laughed. Naruto was confused. What mighty sword and what dragon did he slay? The only dragon he had a semblance of fighting it was. No. This can't be. He looked down at his pants as he thought of the term the girls used for Naruto Jr. Excalibur. Oh hell no, you gotta be kidding me, Naruto shouted, shocked, prompting everyone to laugh even harder. Who wouldn't? It's not every day here that the child of prophecy shall bang his way to peace. Hilarious. Believe it, Kurama exclaimed with a grin, imitating Naruto's famous catchphrase. If it were possible, Naruto would be banging his head on the ground right now. Unfortunately for him, that was not. Never in his life did he imagine himself saving the world in such a manner. Well, he was the ultimate pervert, now he better embrace his fate. Just one question though. Who the hell came up with this stupid prophecy anyway? He really wanted to know who made that damn prophecy. Oh, that was Chuck, Son Goku replied. Naruto looked confused. Who the hell is Chuck? He never heard of that guy before. Who the heck is that? You know, Chuck aka the so-called biblical god. Please note I have great respect for the big guy upstairs, which is why I changed a few things. For me there are a few things I want mess with, and demining God is one of them. What do you mean so-called biblical god? This time it was Zirconus who asked. The statement insinuated that the biblical god was not who he claimed to be. Oh, you didn't know? Well, let me tell you a few secrets. You heard about the Nekosho incident, right? The news was the devils massacred the Nekosho clan residing in the underworld. That's the story anyway. The truth is there was a massacre, just not our people. The devils did attack, but they met two of our appointed guardians and it didn't end well for them. This is one of the reasons our people didn't retaliate. And the devils covered it up because, well, it's embarrassing to report that their army got wiped out by two beings. Matabi gave them that piece of information which surprised them. Damn, those guardians must be super strong to do that. Okay, that's amazing and surprising, but what about the Chuck thing? Naruto asked. The bijuu and their mother grinned. Well, why don't you ask him? Origami said as she pointed to a being wearing shorts and a summer shirt who was trying to sneak away with his coconut drink. When Zirconus laid his eyes on him, he gasped in recognition. He knew this guy for sure. Said dude just sighed as he gave them a sheepish grin. Hi he greeted them as he laughed nervously. With Rias and company. Rias and her friends were shocked to find out this was the lead scientist in the Holy Swords projects. He was also the one who was instrumental in Kiba's torture. The guy looked smug as he set his eyes on Kiba. Well, hello there my dear experiment, how are you? I see you decided to switch sides by discarding your humanity, Valpier said with a grin that almost sent Kiba in a blind fit of rage again. You are one to talk. You have lost your humanity and became a monster with blatant disregard for human life, Issei shouted in an enraged tone. Sometimes for the sake of science sacrifices need to be made, Valpier grinned, showing how proud he was. This guy was clearly insane. No one in their right mind would say something like that. Enough of this, you are going down, you psychopath, Issei shouted as he boosted himself ready to fight. Valpier just laughed while Fred grinned. Young people these days are so impatient. I wonder if you like playing with my new creations. I know my blonde experiment would, Valpier said as suits of Amour appeared facing our surprised friends. The grin on Valpier's face had them worried, especially the last statement he said. In another part of the enemy base, Sona's peerage stood there godsmacked as they watched Hinata dispatching the enemy like it was nothing. All she was using was a simple kunai to do it too. At first they tried to help her, but it became apparent that their help was not needed. She ended up doing all the work because they couldn't keep up with her. Right now they were in what looked like a storage room. Remind me to ask for training once this is over, Sona told he. Queen Hu nodded. It's true, they really needed training. Rias' team was improving at an astronomical level because of Naruto's training. Maybe it was high time she asked her future husband to train her. She blushed at the thought of them training together. Then Naruto steals her panties. Then one thing leads to another, and before you know it we have a bunch of mini Sonas and mini Narutos running around. While Sona was in her own little world, Hinata was looking through some of the files. Thanks to her special circumstances like devils, she too could read other languages no problem. What she saw shocked her to the core. What was written here made these guys look like Orochimaru's children from another world. Damn, this was so messed up. Guys, we gotta find the others now. They might be in trouble, Hinata said in a serious tone as she activated her Byakugan to locate the others. Once done, she led the way, but not before setting the place on fire. Back to Rias and company. Things were getting out of hand for the team. First they thought that those suits of Amour were just some tin cans they can easily dispose of. They were wrong. That guy Valpier was even more twisted than they originally thought. The maniac actually bound souls to the Amour. Worse, they were Kiba's friends. Poor Kiba was shocked at first, but then he found new resolve, and that is to free his friends. With this new resolve he created a new sword which he used to decimate the oncoming enemy. Issei was right behind him offering support. Akino and Rias stayed with Asia offering long-range offensive support. The exorcists went of Fred while Valpier just laughed as he enjoyed the show. Things were going well, but there was no end to those suits of Amour. It seems like Valpier did not only use Kiba's friend but other people, most likely homeless people, as well. Those things just kept coming. It wouldn't have been a problem for them, but the fact that they were deep underground limited their techniques. They didn't want the whole building to cave in, risking them and Sona's team from being crushed. Ha ha ha, this is so boring. Can't you do better than this, you shitty exorcists? Fred said as he kicked Irina, launching her into the wall. Man, that guy hits hard. She could feel that 3 of her ribs were broken from just one kick. That man might be crazy, but his instincts, speed and strength were off the charts. They tried their teamwork on him, but he easily separated them, then toyed with them. They were on the defense from the beginning. And he was using 2S caliber swords at the same time against them. Zenobia tried a sneak attack even though her pride stung, but she had to do it. Fred easily dodged her, then punched her in the gut, sending her tumbling across the floor. Irina regrouped with her partner. Both were hurt and panting hard. They were surprised when they were surrounded by a green energy and their wound began to heal. They looked to Asia and saw that she had activated her long-range healing ability. Some part of them felt so ashamed for what they thought and said to the girl. It seems it was her nature to heal even those that cursed her. We are not getting anywhere with these things, they just keep coming, Shuailin said as she kicked another suit of Amur, launching into the others that were coming at her. To her side, Kaneko grunted in annoyance. Just how many of those things did that psycho make? Team regroup now, Rias commanded. Everyone converged to where she was, including the 2 exorcists. Rias had already assessed the situation and came up with a plan. Issei, boost Kiba up. Kiba, use your sword rebirth to take them out in one go. The boys nodded and prepared. Kiba was the best choice in this situation. If it was an open space, almost anyone of the team would do. They would just use a wide-scale spell to blow the enemy to kingdom come, but in this situation the whole place would cave in and there was still no word from Sona's team. Issei boosted his power multiple times before he used his transfer ability to transfer his power to Kiba. Kiba was amazed by the power Issei gave him before he smirked. This power would be enough for what he was about to do. Sword rebirth. Swords appeared from the ground before they spread to the rest of the room, destroying the army of Amur that was attacking them. Fred jumped out of the way and landed near Valpyr. Kiba glared at him. He was hoping to take out Fred with that attack, but the guy escaped. At least there are 2 enemies left, which are a lot easier to deal with. Who will you look at that? Shitty devil almost had me there. That was good but not good enough, Fred said with a smirk, not at all worried that their army just got taken out. He was really going to enjoy this fight. Valpyr just kept his smug look, making Rias narrow his eyes. Rias gave the signal for the others to attack, but as soon as the prepared to attack, more suits of Amur appeared. Oh come on, really? How many of these did you make? Issei shouted. Just then the wall behind them blew up, showing a very pissed of Hinata, followed by Sona's team, who were panting hard. They couldn't keep up with Hinata even at their full speed. Rias and company were happy that the others were here. Now they can blow this joint, literally. Which one of you is a pathetic excuse for a worm called Valpyr? Hinata asked in an eerie calm manner, but her key scared the crap out of the others. They haven't seen Hinata like this before. They were used to the cheerful pervy Hinata who was infatuated about getting as many girls as she can into the harem. What the heck did Valpyr do down there? That would be me. And calling the greatest scientific genius like me a worm is a little overtop, don't you think? Valpyr answered with his usual cocky grin, but inside he was unnerved by how a little like her could project such a strong ki. That grin soon turned into a frown as he was inches from getting his head decapitated by Hinata had it not been for Fred who intercepted her. You could see Fred straining to keep her at bay with both swords, a testament to the strength put behind Hinata's slash. Damn, she is fast. I didn't even see her move, one of Sona's pawns exclaimed. The rest of Sona's peerage agreed, even her knights, who admitted that Hinata moved so fast she was a blur. Rias' peerage was just as surprised, although they kinda knew. But seeing her in action was awe-inspiring. Hinata, seeing her attack stopped, kicked the annoyance away from her, launching said annoyance together with Valpyr, who was behind him, into the wall, causing it to crack. Fred was the first to stand. He looked at Hinata with a grin, having found a challenge. This was going to be fun. Using his natural speed combined with the speed from his sword, he attacked her. Hinata simple parried the attacks with ease while showing that she can keep up with him. Fred in his mind thought that after a few clashes her sword would break, but he was wrong, her sword held strong. The only conclusion he came up with was that wasn't a normal sword. Hinata's sword, or rather her ninjutsu, wasn't just any ordinary weapon. After all, she was in the Soul Society for a while, so she had to have gained something. It was called Benimaru and its ability was black flames, evidenced the black flames that were wrapping themselves around the blade. It was one of the most powerful weapons in the Soul Society. Even Excalibur fragments can't break that weapon. After clashing a bit, Fred was forced to dodge a column of black flames from Hinata's thrust. The whole place where the flames touched was turned to molten lava and they were still burning. He didn't have time to think as he was kicked again, then was forced to block a slash. From then onwards he was fighting just to stay alive. The girl had been toying with him this whole time. "Ah doc, I think it's time for a strategic withdrawal, this girl is dangerous," Fred shouted to Valpier, who just finished patching himself up. Valpier began preparing a teleportation circle. The whole gang, seeing the enemy trying to escape, jumped into action, but more and more Amur just got in their way. Most were directed towards Hinata. "Well, I can't say it was fun because that bitch almost killed me multiple times. So bye." With that, Fred and Valpier disappeared, leaving the guys to battle with the Amur. Seeing the enemy had escaped, Hinata fought her way to the others. She then stubbed her sword into the ground and a circle of black flames surrounded them. She then mumbled a prayer before she activated her attack. Immediately the whole base was engulfed in a column of black flames that shot upwards. When all was said and done, nothing remained of the base. "Damn, they got away. Please don't tell Naruto about my Reaper, otherwise I wouldn't hear the end of it," Hinata said, but the others were frozen beholding the carnage she left. One thing was sure, never ever mess with Hinata. After getting back to the mansion, everyone was quiet and putting a bit of distance between them, and is still pissed of Hinata, who was leaking her ki everywhere. She was scaring everything in her path. They could have sworn they saw a cat suffering from a heart attack 9 times, losing all 9 lives. "Damn, she is scary," Issei said from way behind everyone. He was glad he didn't perv on her, otherwise he would have been on the receiving end of whatever that is. Rias, being the braver of the bunch, asked why she was pissed. Hinata explained that she found a document containing some of Valper's notes. What she found was disgusting. Not only did he torture young children, but he also kidnapped, killed and bound the souls of the victims to suits of Amur. Worse, the fucker escaped, hence her mood. Kiba wanted to voice that Valpier was his kill, but he kept his mouth shut. Wise choice. When they got back home, they were met with a very interesting sight. They found a very sweaty clone Naruto and a catatonic Revel finishing up the act. Sona's peerage blushed at the sight. Kiba and Issei wisely looked away. Naruto would murder them, and Rias and the others looked annoyed. While they were fighting for their lives, these two were fucking the life out of each other. He boss is gonna have an interesting wake-up call. What, he wakes up? The clone said before dispelling before Rias could do it herself. When he wakes up, I am going to have very rough angry sex with him, Hinata said, eyeing the catatonic girl who was wearing an "I got boinked big time" grin. Good idea. My places need a good romp, if you know what I mean. Akino backed her fellow pervert in crime as they descended into their debaucherous illicit imaginations and some very vivid descriptions, clearly a sales pitch. Sona's entire group along with the exorcists were now red-faced upon hearing some of the things Naruto can do. Sona already had plans on how things were going to go down. "Now if you are done, can we discuss the imminent attack we are about to face?" Rias said, snapping everyone out of their wild imaginations. "Yeah, those two seem to have someone pulling the strings, but whom?" "It's most likely a Rouge Fallen," Sona added. "Kokobile," Xenovia said. "What? Kokobile the most likely our culprit, I am sure of it," Xenovia said. "The Angel faction had their suspicions, but so far they were baseless." "That makes sense. From what my brother told me about him, it has to be. He is a warmonger after all. He will most likely be trying to start a war," Rias said. "Then you are in danger. Think about it, Waikuo. It's because we have the Sisters of Tumao. Their deaths would certainly cause war," Akino said. Everyone from their respective peerages grew worried for the safety of their kings. "Damn, that's a well thought out plan. You have the Excaliburs, so the church will get involved. Then add Sona and Rias plus the Rouge Exorcists, then pretty much all the major factions are dragged into this war," Sona's queen commented. "So what do we do?" Issei asked the most important question. "We prepare. It's inevitable that they will attack. The question is when. If you run into any of them, retreat and make sure to travel in groups of 3 or more. Also minimize traveling as much as possible," Rias said. Everyone agreed and separated. The exorcists stayed stating that it was their duty to clear the church's name and bring Fred and Valpier to justice. A day later. Things have been quiet so far. But the group along is anxious and jumpy. Who wouldn't when you were expecting to be attacked anytime soon? Naruto was still stuck in his mind, in their opinion, and that was another problem that raised their concerns. They haven't been able to contact anyone in the underworld and teleportation failed too. It seems that the plot was bigger than they thought. They soon realized that there was no help coming from the underworld and one of their big guns was out of commission. Things were bad but they had to keep up appearances. The others went to school while Hinata, Xenovia, Revel and the exorcist stayed home. Right now Hinata was looking around with her Byakugan activated. She couldn't shake the feeling that something was going to happen today. It was after school hours and the gang was still at school. Just them and no civilians around, perfect setup for an attack. And she was right. She saw an explosion tearing the school apart but it was contained by a barrier that was raised just before the explosion occurred. Seems the guys were prepared for the attack. Donning her Soul Reaper outfit she notified the others. The school is under attack, let's go. You two carry the exorcists, Hinata instructed before she stepped towards where the action was. Revel and Xenovia carried the exorcists who were reluctant at first. The battle had begun. A few moments earlier. Both peerages had decided to stay for after-school activities which were mainly playing chess and just talking. It was also another strategy to flash out the enemy by being in the open. There were some carefully hidden familiars that were scouting the place with some of Sona's peerage members setting up a detection barrier. The girls were just interacting while their leaders were playing chess. The boys, Issei and Saji, were being perverts as usual talking about pervy staff with a very uncomfortable kiba between them. Everything was good so far until incoming. Rias shouted as she and Sona raised a barrier to protect everyone while those holding the detection barrier did the same. Just in time too as a huge spear of light tore through the first layer barrier but the second one held. The orc building was the only one that survived, the rest of the school was left in ruins. Up in the sky a man stood watching the proceedings with great amusement. Since the devils were all in one place he used an attack aiming to wipe them out in one go. It seems they survived, all of them. How amusing. He smirked in anticipation of an entertaining fight. He spread his 5 pairs of crow-like black wings. Behind him were hundreds of his kind, all with 4 pairs of less, making him the leader. Kokobile has arrived in town and he has come out to play. Go leave no survivors, that simple order, and his minions sprang into action, each aiming to please their leader. This was going to be a short fight. Or so it would seem. Well, they are in for a rude awakening. Back in the orc building. Is everyone okay? Rias shouted in between labored breaths. It took a lot of power to keep the barrier from being breached. Luckily their queens reacted in time to support their kings. Everyone looked okay, albeit some looked a bit shaken. Alright, here is the plan. Asia, stay hidden and keep healing us. Kaneko, stay close to her and use an illusion to keep her hidden. Split into teams of 3 and coordinate with each other. Watch each other's backs and eliminate everything that's not a friendly with extreme prejudice, Rias commanded. Sona wanted to argue but this side of Rias she had never seen. This Rias was one whose voice left no room for arguments. Her very presence commanded respect. She was a totally different Rias from the Rias she was with a moment ago. What will you two be doing? Sona asked. We are going to be preparing. There is something we discovered from the evil chess piece system thanks to Issei's sacred gear. It might be the only thing that can help us hold out until my brother gets here, Rias said. This was her trump card against Kokobile. With this she hoped to be able to hold out long enough. Phone rings indicating a message came in. Looking at the phone she found that it was from Hinata. We are on our way, just hold on a bit longer. I need Issei to go east. I think I found out why communication wasn't getting through to the underworld. I will meet him there. The exorcists and the others will be joining you shortly. That's good to hear. If only Naruto were here. She then relayed the information to Issei, who then thought of a brilliant plan to get out of the school without being attacked. The plan was simple. Make yourself as insignificant as possible, then run like hell screaming like a little girl, and it worked out well. By the time Issei was out of sight, a bunch of fallen watching were sweat dropping. They didn't even feel the need to chase after him. They then focused on the lone building that had survived their boss's assault. With a single command the minions, expendables, attacked. Another group of minions were on standby while Kokobile and his inner circle hung back. The minions thought this was going to be a walk on the park. Well, they were in for a surprise. In the underworld, things weren't looking good. As soon as Graphia entered the underworld, all communication was blocked linking the underworld to the human world. Next, teleportation to the human world was blocked. It seems that someone was waiting for Graphia to enter the underworld. Graphia had relayed the situation in Kuo, and obviously our cis-con redhead wanted to storm the place but noticed that he couldn't teleport and communication was blocked. And as he threw a fit like a child begging Akuja to do something. Anything yet Akuja-tan, hsdxd asked his friend who sighed. No luck. Damn it, how did they get into my lab and steal my invention without me noticing? And worse, they kidnapped my apprentice, Akuja replied a bit forcefully. He was pissed off when his invention and apprentice disappeared a few days ago. And then this happens. It wasn't a coincidence. His invention was meant to be used against the old Satan faction and any other enemies with teleportation abilities. He and his apprentice were the only ones who could use it, hence why she was kidnapped. Worse, he hadn't made a failsafe yet in case something like this happens. Don't worry everybody, Naruto will protect everyone. You can count on the power of Panties, Serafal declared in her usual cheerful manner. She was not at all worried about her sister. She was in good hands, hahaha, if you get the implication. But that would mean he is stealing Rias-tan's panties. No way, I will let that happen. What if he is doing things to her? hsdxd rambler on entering his overprotective brother mode. Too late for that, Graphia mumbled, but hsdxd heard her. His eyes widened in horror. No, my Rias-tan's chastity. At an abandoned warehouse, a bunch of small fry fallen were guarding a prisoner unaware of the impending disaster that is to fall upon them. Their prisoner, a black-haired, pink-eyed girl, was bound by a number of chains with runes reinforcing the chains. In front of her was a device that was sucking her impressive power, weakening her severely. Any more of this and she will surely die. Said device was one she and her master created. This was the Amber, a device created for the sole purpose of blocking communication and teleportation. She and her master were the only one with the know-how to use it. When the Fallen with the help of some devils kidnapped her, she tried to resist, but Kokobile can be convincing when he wants to be. She only hoped that someone will foil their plans. Outside, Hinata and Issei could be seen hovering in the air. Hinata wasn't in a good mood, evidenced by that dark aura again. Whatever she was seeing with those eyes of hers wasn't pleasing to her. Alright, Issei, ready to play hero? Hinata asked, her attitude turning a complete 180 to a creepy pervy smile. What? Asked a confused Issei. At the Uzumaki mansion, a certain blonde-haired idiot was coming out of his very long meditation. He stood up and stretched a bit, getting the stiffness out of him. He raised his brow when he noticed the lack of noise or something pervy happening. Where is everyone and how long was he gone for? Then his clone's memories hit him like a ton of bricks, causing him to mess his pants. Well, that answers a lot, Naruto thought as he sifted through his clone's memories. It seems trouble came when he wasn't around. Time to pay trouble a visit. Stretching his senses, he sensed a lot of negative emotions in two separate places, with the school having the bulk of it. His friends were there while the others were heading there. Okay, time to go play. Escanor would be fun to use, he. At an abandoned warehouse, Hinata was looking at the guards stationed at the warehouse. So far, she was not impressed. They thought that using cloaking runes to hide their presence, thinking that would hide them from her Byakugan. Well, they were wrong. She could see everything, including a few devils in their midst. So, there are traitors or rebels among them. Time to act. Issei, there are a few weaklings in there, including what I assume to be traitors. Leave the traitors alive, we might need information from them. Go wild and look good while you are at it, Hinata said, confusing Issei. He was further confused when Hinata grabbed him before she threw him the still confused Issei through the window to the place the captive was. Era. A confused Issei sailed through the air, crashing into the window, then landed in the middle of the shitstorm. What the fuck just happened? Why did she do that? Looking around, he saw both Fallen and devils converging where he was, surrounding him. Off to the side he could see a girl tied up in front of a strange device doing something to her. How the hell did he find us? We were well hidden. Are there more with him? One of the Fallen asked in a panic. He was weak, so he thought that being assigned here would put him as far away from the fight. Now looks like the fight came to him. What rotten luck. It's just one kid, we can take him. So kid, who send you? Another fallen asked but was ignored, but Issei, who was having an inner conversation with his partner. You hurry up and free the she-devil. She won't last much longer. It would be a waste really, look at that Oppai just waiting for you to rescue it. Jade Dragon egged Issei on and it worked. Issei was all fired up. I swear by the Oppai gods out there I won't let that wonderful Oppai leave this world. Now get ready to feel the wrath of Muay Thai boxing. Let the barehand man killing begin, Issei declared with fire in his eyes, boosting himself multiple times. Everyone's sweat dropped, including a hidden Hinata. Damn Issei, way to ruin your chances. The enemy attacked thinking it was just some stupid kid trying to play hero. Well, they forgot one thing, this was a student of Naruto trained in the art of barehand man killing. They realized their mistake too late. The first one to get within range got his face smashed by a crimson gauntlet, killing him. There was a sickening crunch sound signifying that Issei broke the poor guy's face. You could see a few teeth flying out of his mouth, the rest were swallowed. Issei was pissed. Almost Naruto level pissed when someone threatens a nice pair of panties. That's for mistreating those precious Oppai. Now who's next? Come on, I don't have all day Oppai. Issei shouted before he realized what he has done. Damn, now he is starting to sound like Naruto in crazy mode. All well, better embrace the role. The enemy was shocked for a few seconds before they all swarmed the boy like hungry piranha. Issei just stood his ground and used his training. Every punch delivered, every elbow, every knee was delivered at full power, breaking every bone that was unfortunate enough to get smashed. All the while Issei found himself enjoying the fight for a change. It's fun when you are the one beating the crap out of people and not on the receiving end of Naruto's fists. The captive girl just looked on in shock. She thought this guy was just a goofy pervert who just was in the wrong place at the wrong time. He didn't look like much until she saw his sacred gear. The fabled Red Dragon Emperor Gauntlet. The power the boy got from the boosts was amazing, and the bizarre fighting style was something else. She watched as one boy demolished about 15 men on his own. Will you look at that? Issei has come a long way. He is handling himself quite well if I say so, came a voice from behind her, followed by what sounded like sword slash that cut through the chains and runes. That's crazy. The girl fell on the floor, having no energy to stand. She looked up to see a young woman with weird eyes smiling at her. Was she the boy's accomplice, and if so, what did they want? Don't worry, we are here to help. The fallen are attacking my sisters, so I thought I would disable that thing so we can get back up, the young woman said before she studied her master's invention, humming to herself. She then pointed her black blade at Amber, ready to attack. What's your name, by the way? I am Hinata. Amy, the girl said in a rasp voice, showing she hadn't drank or even eaten anything in a while. Hinata nodded before she proceeded with what she was doing. Amy wanted to say that it was pointless since the device had impressive defenses. Hinata gave a might thrust, launching a pillar of black flames at the device. Multiple barriers activated, stopping the attack momentarily. However, to Amy's shock, one by one the barriers began to be overpowered until they were all destroyed, along with the device and a large section of the warehouse. Hinata looked sheepishly at the shocked girl, who witnessed something she thought was impossible. Even though these barriers were a prototype, they were not supposed to be destroyed this easily. Issei had already finished his fights with some bruising, nothing serious. Could you at least hold back a little? You almost took out the entire building. Hehehe, sorry about that. Now be a gentleman and lend the lady your jacket and give her a boost while you are at it. Oh, please be gentle with her, it might be her first time, Hinata said with a smirk while wiggling her eyebrows suggestively. The other two conscious occupants of the room blushed at what she was insinuating. Gee Hinata, you are almost as bad as Naruto. No scratch that you are worse, Issei said as he gave Amy his jacket, then gave her a power boost. She was amazed by the power that coursed through her. It was unlike anything she had ever felt before. It was warm and soothing. It will take a while for the effects of the device to wear off. About 10 minutes, then teleportation to and from the underworld will resume, Amy said as she looked at Hinata, who formed a clone and left it to deal with the defeated enemies. Good to know. Issei, take our guest home and be hospitable, will you? Oh, and no funny business until later. Bye, Hinata said before she flash stepped away, leaving two shocked teens. Is she always like this? Amy asked. No, she is usually worse, Issei said as he picked up the girl bridal style, earning him a cute eep. He ignored the opai that were rubbing against his chest as he took the girl to Naruto's mansion. No need to bring trouble to his poor parents' house. Amy just snuggled into his chest, drifting to sleep knowing that she was safe and alive. Ruins of Kuo. The fallen angels stormed into the lone surviving building with the aim of wiping out its occupants. There is no strategy, no caution, just a bunch of idiots in a frenzy. Those poor souls never knew they were walking into a trap. Entering the hallway they saw at the end was a white-haired lowly devil with an impassive expression. She was staring at them blankly, which annoyed them. The first few decided they wanted the honor of having the first kill, so they charged at her. One manifested a light spear and stabbed her with it only to phase through her. What the hell just happened? Was it an illusion? The idiots never noticed a few paper talismans littering the hallway, nor did they notice said talismans glowing before boom. And with that the first batch was wiped out along with the hallway. And they didn't even throw the first a punch too. Poor hallway, well it was due for a makeover anyway. In another part of the building a certain white-haired cat girl flinched. When Naruto said those exploding tags packed a punch, he wasn't kidding. She hadn't expected to kill them, which horrified her, but now is not the time for that. She did the first part, now time for the rest. The second bunch of idiots were a bit cautious after witnessing the demise of their fellow comrades. They opted to avoid the destroyed hallway and make their own way. They came through the windows and blew holes in the wall, and they poured into the building. Kokubile just sighed at the idiocy of his men. They were expendable, so no loss there. He was surprised by the strategy the devils used. This will be entertaining if they keep up the surprises. Now where are those idiotic rogue priests? They were late. Back to the expendables. Those that managed to get in through the east were met with a blonde-haired boy with a sword strapped to his waist. With their numbers they expected the boy to panic and call for backup, but no, he was eerie calm. It was like they were not a threat to him. Well, that was all about to change. Good evening, gentlemen, nice weather we are having. I am going to have to kindly ask you to leave. Your kind are not welcome here, Kiba said, earning him a round of laughter. These guys were seriously underestimating him. Well, it will make what's about to happen a lot easier. He had contemplated on unarmed combat to experience what's it's like fighting someone other than Naruto without weapons. But he was on a tight schedule, so weapons it is. Quickly unsheathing his sword he blurred out of existence, and the next thing the fallen were on the ground dead. Kiba might not be a big fan of killing, but in a fight like this mercy usually comes back to bite you in the ass. With his job done, Kiba gave a quick update to the others, then waited to see if anyone needed help. The little building had become a battlefield with a lot of death occurring. Sona's team were holding up surprisingly well, except for the occasional freezing after the first kill. Sona was there to remind them that it was either kill or be killed. Asia was doing her best to heal the wounded while being hidden by Kaniko's illusion. So far there were no casualties, but the enemy was getting more smarter and more aggressive. It's only a matter of time before the enemy decides to bring in the big guns. The small fry they can handle, but the 8 wings and Kokubile were going to be a problem. Best choice is to take the fight outside and draw the big guns to their strongest, while the small fry were being handled by Sona's peerage. Receiving the signal, Kiba, Kaniko, Tsubaki and Sona jumped outside. But as soon as they got out they became a bit nervous. Why? Because of the hordes of fallen on standby. Shit, they were just too many of them. Who interesting. This is so entertaining, I didn't expect you to last this long. This is the best prelude to a war ever. Imagine when they hear how valiantly you fought before you were brutally murdered. Oh, and look, someone decided to join the party, Kokubile said. Look at the recently arrived Valpier and Fred and a few stray exorcists. Valpier looked as smug and sinister as ever with a few stray exorcists behind him. His experiments were destroyed by that crazy girl, so he had to bring some manpower. Fred looked like he was in heaven, weird and confusing. In his hand was definitely an Excalibur sword, that's for sure, but this one was far more powerful and this got them on edge. What the hell is up with that sword? Oh, I see you noticed my baby. Just imagine it, 4 Excalibur swords combined into one. This is the closest to the original we can get since the last Great War. If only we had gotten a hold of the other 2 things would have been more interesting, Valpier said with pride in his voice. You have got to be kidding. They didn't have that kind of power to fight off a sword like that. Damn, Rias and Akino better hurry up, things are bad here. And also, where the hell is their backup? As if answering their unspoken plight, They heard a scream before someone crushed in front of them and 3 more individuals landed besides them. Ouch, where the heck did you learn such terrible, wanted to say crappy, but holy maidens don't say that, do they? Flying, I thought you winged creatures knew how to use those wings of yours, Xenovia shouted as she pulled herself out of the ground where she made what suspiciously looked like a human-shaped hole. Weird. Well, I wouldn't have dropped you if you hadn't kept on squeezing the life out of me, plus that oversized sword of yours. And what the hell is up with that? Are you afraid of flying? Xuelin fired back. She had tried carrying the girl, but the moment they were airborne she got glued to her like a baby monkey. Worse, she was freakishly strong, so it didn't end well for Xuelin's ribs. Hey, I like flying. I just like flying in things that have a floor and I am at my view of the ground. And besides, there were no seatbelts. Xenovia tried to defend herself, but it was pointless. The others didn't believe her one bit. Looking around, the new arrivals saw the seriousness of the situation. Damn, there are so many of them. Who seems your backup is here too, but will they be enough? From what I can tell, they won't be of much help, Kokobile said in an arrogant tone. Then it's a good thing I finished up early, came a female voice from above the fallen angels before a large chunk of the goon squad was literally devoured by a Chinese dragon made of black flames. The heat generated by the dragon was so intense that those close to the dragon were also burnt. At the tail of the dragon stood a girl wearing a weird black outfit. The striking things about her were her eyes, and she was standing on air like one standing on the ground. Hinata, you are here, that was fast. I thought your detour would take longer, Revel said with a sigh of relief. She wasn't much of a fighter no matter how much training she got. She didn't like it, which is why she was happy Hinata was here. Fred on the other hand was pissed. This was the girl that kicked his ass so hard he could still feel it. She humiliated him and made him run away with his tail tucked between his legs. But now things were different. He was more powerful than ever and she was going to pay. Kokobile frowned. He hadn't sensed her when she arrived and she took out half of his remaining forces like it was nothing. Moreover, he could sense immense chakra from her, which was impossible. Only yokai can use chakra. And what is the other power he is sensing from her? It's unlike anything he had ever felt before. No other faction uses this kind of energy, so what is she? Bottom line is she is dangerous and she has to be taken out, and he has to do it himself. He didn't think anyone he brought was capable of taking her out. Hey you bitch. I want my rematch. This time it won't end like the last time. Now come down here and fight me, Fred shouted. No, you are the church's problem, so we will handle you, Xenovia said as she took out Durandal while handing Excalibur Destruction to Irina, who looked unsure, but Xenovia assured that's it's going to be alright. Yeah, Irina got an upgrade. Smiling, she took the sword, then winced at the influx of power flowing through her. At the moment she can handle this for maybe a few minutes, and if push comes to shove she can keep going for a few more minutes. The 2 exorcists charged at the ex-church members, taking them out quickly, leaving only Fred and Valpyr. Oh, how badly they wanted to wipe that smirk off Valpyr's face as he ranted on and on about how merging 4 Excalibur swords was the pinnacle of his achievements and how inferior they were to his latest creation. Someone had the decency to shut the creep up, but not in the way anyone expected. While Valpyr was busy mouthing off, a clone of Hinata Flash stepped behind him and slashed both his hands and legs. It was a gruesome sight for the faint of heart, especially when screaming bloody murder was involved, and did I mention the blood splattering all over. Fred didn't even have the time to defend his master because it happened so fast he didn't react in time. I thought you would want to watch as your plan crumbled to the ground while you are bleeding to death. This is for the atrocities that you have committed, the clone said coldly before it dispelled when Fred tried to attack it. The 2 exorcists quickly engaged him, separating him from the rest. Okay, now Kokobile was a bit freaked out. The way the girl took out Valpyr was cruel and unexpected for someone like her. And the way she didn't it was precise and clean, almost like she had done it before. She didn't hesitate or have compassion or pity, she was cold like a stone-cold killer. What the hell is wrong with this girl? Right now she is looking at them with that creepy cheerful expression like she didn't just mime someone just now. Now then, the crazy priest is occupied for now. So what to do? I could take on the leader, but the honor is reserved for someone else. Isn't that right, Rias? Everyone turned around to see Rias walking towards them with a serious expression. Behind her was Akino wearing a similar expression. Looks like the preparation was complete. Revel, Schwalen, go help the others clean up the mess in our clubhouse. The rest of you take out the fallen. I will deal with Kokobile, Rias said. Her tone left no room for arguments, she was kinda scary. Hinata went and whispered something in Rias' ear, making her eyes go wide for a bit before she nodded. Alright then, let's do this. Bankai, Hinata shouted before her form was enveloped by a torrent of black flames. When the flames died down, it revealed a few changes. One, her sword was longer with white flowering designs on the blade and its guard. Her robes were a bit tighter in all the right places. The ends of her hair seemed to be on fire. This was Hinata at her best. The power radiating was immense. A few 8 wings started backing away from the monstrous powerhouse who was giving them an insane grin. But they were not done. Rias and Akino released all their power while holding hands, chanting something, couldn't make up something that sounds remotely like a believable chant. The ground began to shake as lightning began to combine with the power of destruction. A king and a queen chess piece appeared on their respective persons. Soon the pieces began to mutate. Mutation. King and queen promotion. The name sucks, I know, both girls shouted as an explosion of power erupted from them. On Rias, her power looked like power of destruction mixed with crimson lightning, while Akino was covered by pure crimson lightning. This was the discovery they made while studying the evil piece system. As it turns out, both king and queen can have mutated promotion for a few minutes, that's what they thought anyway. It's not like Naruto and did a little tinkering on the chess pieces to allow them to use this ability. It requires the king and queen to trust each other and share each other's abilities through the link they create. It also temporarily quadruples the king's power while it doubles the queen's power levels. Kokobile was floored. What the fuck is this? He did his research and the girl should have this kind of power. It was almost close to his full power. He seriously underestimated this bunch, but no matter. Soon he will get his war one way or another. Kokobile was pulled out of his musings when he was forced to block a bolt of crimson lightning with his light sword. He was surprised when he saw his sword with a few cracks in it. Damn, that's some power the girl has. Looking around, the fight had already began. Most of his forces concentrated on the Flames girl, but they were being decimated. The Crimson Lightning girl was also having a field day torturing his men. Was she into that S&M stuff? Fred was being kept at bay by the exorcists and Kiba, so he wouldn't be of much help anytime soon. Focusing on the girl in front of him, he smirked. Well, at least this was going to be fun fight. Hope she can keep up. He materialized a few light swords before firing them at the girl, who disappeared from view in a burst of speed. His instincts were the ones that saved him, as was forced to block a punch heading for his gut. He might have blocked it, but the force behind the punch was enough to launch him a few feet into the air. Damn, she is fast and strong too. What kind of ability is that? Rias, on the other hand, flexed her muscles a bit. She was too damn stiff to execute the moves she wanted. The power flowing through her was still too much for her to handle. At least her version of Naruto's lightning of destruction armor gave her a tremendous speed boost. All she had to do was keep him occupied for just a few minutes. She had no notion that she can defeat him, maybe if she got her power under control. But as of now she can't. He is a veteran warrior with a lot of fighting experience, plus his power trumps hers only by a small margin. And she still hasn't fully explored the depths of this form yet. But for now she can hold her own, and she was affirmed her armor can protect her long enough. Again she phased out of existence, but this time Kokobile was ready. He increased his power to match her in speed, and they began the deadly dance of close quarters combat. He was surprised that the girl was good. Her fighting style was still woozy, but it was good to counter his. To the necktie, those two were like shooting stars of crimson and tainted gold as they exchanged blows. Rias knew after the exchange that hand-to-hand was a bad idea. She still hasn't mastered her style yet. The only thing that saved her from taking damage was her armor. So she opted to bombard the bastard with spell after spell. Kokobile was either dodging or blocking. The girl was relentlessly, but she was wasting a lot of power. What he didn't know was that the spells were calculated. Those that missed took out Kokobile's men who couldn't block or dodge, so it wasn't a waste. While they were at it, Akino was watching from afar. Rias was holding out for now, but why was she being reckless? She is putting too much strain on herself. At this rate she won't last much longer. Dodging a stray light spear, she turned angrily to the offender, who now was wondering what the hell he was thinking. "Era, you naughty boy, that's no way to treat a lady. Akino said with a creepy smile before she struck the poor guy with lightning, obliterating him. She then went on to look at her sister, worried. Hinata landed besides her, having incinerated the group she was supposed to fight. Damn, those guys were super boring. They weren't even worth her bankai. If only she called dibs on Kokobile. Don't worry Akino, it's going to be alright. She is not as reckless as you think. She is keeping him occupied until he gets here, Hinata said with a knowing smirk. Akino's eyes widened a bit when she realized who she was referring to. So he is finally awake now, that's some good news. Now she will have to torture those poor souls without restraint. Off to the side, Fred was having a fairly tough challenge facing his 3 opponents. They had proved to be better than he thought. They covered each other's weakness and were rushing him, giving him little chance to breathe. Where Kiba attacked with speed, Xenovia added pure destruction with her Durandal, while Irina was a mix of destruction and finesse. It was an interesting sight to see former enemies working side by side like a well-oiled machine. Still, Fred was proving to be a challenge for them. He had managed to deal a lot of damage to them, some of which would have been fatal were it not for Asia working her magic. She was the only reason the devil side hadn't faced any fatalities yet. Back to Rias' fight. Kokobile was getting tired of being bombarded and being put on the defensive this long. So he decided to return the favor. He fired a large volley of light spears that rained down on his enemies. The attack was so controlled that nearly all of his remaining allies were unharmed. A testament to the control he had over his power. Rias, Akino and Hinata focused their powers into making a makeshift barrier of black flames mixed with crimson lightning of destruction to protect everyone, especially the clubhouse. When the attack ended, Kokobile was nowhere to be seen. Rias only had a split second to react. She formed a bow staff with her excess power and quickly parried an attack from behind by a light spear. She then engaged Kokobile, who was now wielding his light spear. Here Rias proved to be better than Kokobile as she displayed skills with the staff that he could liken to the legendary Monkey King. Try as he might to defend himself, he was actually taking some damage. Backing away, he coincidentally landed near Sona, who was busy fighting two fallen. He might have failed to take out Sirzek's sister, but Serafal's sister was weak compared to the other one. With her death his war would begin. Just like the Sarajevo incident that sparked World War I. Forming a light spear, he fired it straight at the unsuspecting girl at incredible speeds. It was so fast no one had any time to warn Sona of her impending doom. Hinata wanted to intervene, but her help wasn't needed at all. Before the spear could reach Sona, it was cleaved in half by a sudden flaming blur which impacted the ground, causing a lot of dust to form. When the dust settled, there in a small crater was a strange-looking golden axe, Escanor's axe. I can't describe Jack. Sona looked surprised while the other girls had a knowing look. They had seen that weapon before and knew that the owner was here. They were glad he was here, even though they sweat dropped at the form he chose to appear in. My, what a mess this is. You have some nerve to try to kill my lovely panties, I mean my lovely ladies, came a deep voice from behind Sona, startling the poor girl. Turning around, she was met with the sight of a mountain of a man with brown hair and a mustache. His clothes seemed to have been ripped apart by his own bulging muscles, which seemed to be increasing too. Oi, wait a minute, this guy looks familiar. She had seen him somewhere, but for the life of her she couldn't remember where. And who the fuck are you? Kokobile asked with anger in his voice at the man for ruining his plan. He almost had the girl and this jackass had to just ruin it. Oh, and did I mention that the man's stupid face was what ticked him off the most? You know that look muscle Escanor usually has when he is facing someone weak. It's like he doesn't have a care in the world. Ah, that's a good question. I am the one that stands at the pinnacle of all creation. I am the lion sin of pride and my name is Escanor, Escanor declared. Then it clicked to Sona, this guy is from that anime Rias forced her to watch, but how can this be? This has got to be some hardcore fanboy or something. You girls okay? He asked. We are. They just had us at the numbers game, that's all, Rias answered. Sona raised a brow. Did Rias know this guy? Good, I am glad you are all right. Good job, I see you've got a better handle on that form. Now if you don't mind, can you move to the clubhouse while I deal with this crow here? And what's his deal anyway? Escanor said as he picked up his axe and rested it on his shoulders. Rias just gave him the rundown of the situation and he just nodded. He looked calm on the outside, but inside he was 9 tons of pissed off. A lot has happened since he was asleep, which shouldn't have. He was glad he trained his girls very hard, they handled themselves very well. What ticked him off was that this jackass had the nerve to try and kill his girls all for a stupid war. That's absurd. In his world there were crazy people like Madara, Obito and Nagato who had some crazy notion about causing pain and war to get to peace. That's crazy, but this guy was a whole new level of insane. Okay, maybe Obito fits in with him. I mean, who in the hell just up and say I want a war, let's cause one and watch a bunch of people murder each other. Seems every dimension has its own crazy warmongering nutjobs. And this one has its own Orochimaru too. By the way, what's with Hinata's form? Something was tickling him in the back of his mind. This form should excite him, but why though? Meh. We'll think on that later, but for now a certain douchebag needs an ass whooping. So you think you can take me on, huh? I can tell you this, I was holding back on that bitch, so don't think you can take me on. You're 1,000 years too young to take on the likes of me, Kokobile shouted with insanity clearly evident on his face. That insane look turned to one of pain when Kokobile found a huge fist buried into his gut before he got launched right across the schoolyard into the track field. Kokobile's eyes widened. All he felt was lots of pain and he could taste blood in his mouth. What the hell just happened? Why was he feeling so much pain? And why was he on his back appreciating the stars in the sky? Struggling to stand up, he did a damage assessment. Yeah, clearly there were a few broken ribs there. Is this the best you have to offer? So disappointing, Escanor said. Holy hell, that guy is strong and fast too. Who is he? You seem to know him. Sona asked, bewildered. Rias, new form, amazed her, but it didn't do much damage to Kokobile. But this guy was on another level to be able to do that. Oh, that's Naruto. He just likes to transformation into different anime characters and try to imitate their abilities. So far he is doing great with Escanor, Hinata said as the others joined them, having cleared the clubhouse of enemies. Kiba and the others were still battling it out with Fred. Oh, now that makes sense, Sona said before she focused on the battle. Not far from the school, the battle had attracted the attention of two parties who were wandering around in Kuo. Both cats were observing the battle intently, each with their own agenda. Back to the fight, beat down. Kokobile rushed at Naruto with a light spear in his hand. This was the first in a long while he had a good fight, so he was excited. He went for a stab thinking that the big man with that kind of build wouldn't react fast enough. He forgot the dude was faster than him. The big man, to his surprise, used this axe to block the spear before he tried to chop Kokobile to pieces. The fallen dodged and went for multiple stabs, which were all dodged by the big man like it was nothing. Jumping back, Kokobile looked at the big guy. Said just still had that stupid look on his face which infuriated Kokobile. New strategy, he was going to release all his power then go dual wielding. He released his power, causing the ground to shake a bit with debris flying everywhere. The onlookers had to shield themselves and hold on to something so that they won't be blown away. Kiba and company temporarily stopped their fight in favor of taking cover. When Kokobile was done, he materialized two swords that looked stronger than the ones he used before. He was grinning like a madman, but that grin turned to an angry scoff when he noticed the big guy still had that stupid look on him. Come on, the guy should be trembling in fear from the power he released. This was Kokobile's full power for Pet's same. He charged at the big man who was using his axe to block every strike Kokobile threw at him. Kokobile was fast and stronger, and still this guy was treating the situation like it was nothing. Naruto then did something that took Kokobile by surprise. He threw his axe upward, then started to parry Kokobile's attacks with his bare hands. Kokobile was shocked. He was sure this guy was a devil, and yet he is using his hands to block freaking light swords. That's impossible. His thoughts were cut short when the big man disarmed him of both his swords. Then in slow motion, Kokobile watched as 5 punches made contact with his body, launching him across the track field, bouncing on the ground as he traversed the distance. If this is the best you can do, then I am sorely disappointed. So much pride and no power too. Back it up, Naruto said. He really loved imitating Escanor, the dude is so cool. Maybe if he got back to the elemental nations he can show off his mastery of fire in the Uchiha's face. Oh right, he plucked his eyes out, what a bummer. Maybe he could bring Asia along to heal the bastard, then show off, then pluck his eyes out again. Yeah, that could work. How about this, you make your strongest sword and I will give you a free shot, Naruto said, shocking everyone listening. Was he crazy? This is the most insane thing he has done. Next to cooking Panty ramen, now that was a weird dish. Kokubeel picked himself up in his bartered pride. This stupid devil is going to die by his hand. Forming an even stronger sword, he charged at the foolish devil. It was a mistake to give him the opportunity to land a strike. He put all his might into the swing, striking Naruto across the chest. A mighty boom resounded, fierce winds picked up, destroying the terrain, and a huge cloud of dust was formed. Everyone was worried about Naruto, but they knew that Naruto doesn't take unnecessary risks. He must have had a plan up his sleeve. They could hear Kokubeel's insane laughter as he celebrated his victory. All the boasting stopped, however, when the dust cleared and he saw Naruto standing there still with that stupid look on his face. On his chest was a small thin red line with little bits of blood flowing out before it disappeared as it automatically healed. Okay, I was disappointed before, but this is just pathetic, Naruto said casually, but inside was a different story. Ouch, mother father, that stings a lot. Okay, this is the last time I am lowering my defenses against light magic, Naruto lamented in his head. He wanted to see how good his devil power was without his holy magic resistance, Excalibur's scabbard. Yeah, he will never do that again, it stings like a bitch. It reminded him of the time he thought it was a good idea to ask bees to share their honey. It didn't end well for him. Kokubeel looked shocked. There was no way his attack did this little damage. No way. Okay, my turn to show you my most powerful self, Naruto said. Kokubeel flew into the air and put all his power to form a gigantic spear capable of wiping out the entire city, I think. There was no way he was going to give this freak a chance to have a free shot at him. Sacred treasure release, Naruto said casually as he released all his power. The force was enough to knock the rest to the fallen unconscious. It was massive, all the power he accumulated from all those panties was now released. If it wasn't for the clones Naruto left to erect a barrier around the school, the entire city would have been in trouble and the entire world would be panicking right now, not to mention the rest of the supernatural world would be alerted to his presence. This was around the time Issei arrived to see something spectacular. Naruto's power formed a huge ball of fire in the air that looked like the sun. It was night time, for goodness sake. He raised his axe and the miniature sun began to be absorbed into the axe, giving the blade of the axe an angry red glow. Naruto gave a mighty swing of his axe, launching an arc of fire straight at Kokubeel's attack, destroying it like it was nothing. I mean, it was like throwing butter into a hot furnace and the butter lasts less than a few seconds. Holy moly, Naruto just pulled off an Escanor. That's awesome, shouted the excited teen when he witnessed his friend pulling off anime attack. We'll sort off, I didn't see enough of Escanor to note if he used a similar attack. For the first time in a long time, Kokubeel felt fear. This was like the last time he stupidly challenged a super devil. And it didn't end well for him. The kid outclassed him many times over and it irked him to know that he was outclassed by a youngling. How embarrassing. But in his defense, this kid can give hsdxd a run for his money in both power and fighting ability. But he had to do something. His plan can't end this way. Then he noticed something out of the corner of his eye that gave him hope. He had forgotten that Fred still held a powerful weapon, and in his hands it can give him enough power to take on hsdxd himself. A smirk formed on his face as he shot full speed at the unsuspecting Fred. Meanwhile, after somewhat surviving Naruto's power-up, Fred struggled to get up. He had burns all over his body, but thanks to the sword he was healing, albeit slowly. That was one heck of a power-up if the destruction it left was any indication. I mean, most of the ground is now molten lava, for goodness sake. It was only thanks to the sword that he survived, otherwise he would have been barbecue. His creator is proof of that. The poor man was roasted alive without any defenses or a chance to run away. Remember, someone chopped his hands and legs off. He was cut from his thoughts when his boss landed roughly besides him. His boss didn't look good, like he was coming from a good ass whooping and the ass being whooped was his. Yeah, this plan isn't going well. Looking around, he saw that it was just the two of them. All the others had been wiped out. Damn, that much of a force, and they were wiped out by a bunch of teenagers. How embarrassing. So what was the boss planning now that things have gone sideways? His answer came in the form of a light sword piercing his heart. Oh, the old-fashioned betrayal. Well played. The light in Fred's eyes died down as he stared right into the eyes of his betrayer. Well, at least he had fun fighting his opponents. If only someone would rum his foot right up this backstabber's rotten behind, things would be swell. Nothing personal, Fred, but I need this sword and I don't need you anymore. Kokubile said as he took Excalibur away from the corpse of the crazy priest. Holding the sword, he felt the sword rebelling against him, but he felt some of its power flowing through him, healing him. Even though the sword wasn't giving him what he knew the sword was capable of, it was still more than enough. On the other side, Naruto landed near the shocked exorcists and Kiba, who saw Kokubile kill his own man. What a disgusting being that one. They could see that he held no love or respect for Fred, and he didn't care one bit about Fred. He killed his own ally. That's horrible, Irina said, horrified at what she just saw. That's the kind of man he is. He has no pride in holding bonds with allies, Naruto said, scaring the crap out of the exorcists who didn't know it was him. Kiba just looked at the big guy for a moment before he smirked. Hello there Naruto, nice to see you up and about and not stealing panties for a change, Kiba said, only to sweat drop when he saw Naruto waving a bunch of them around. Seriously, only Naruto can think of stealing panties at a time like this. Are you kidding me? These beauties are always practically begging me to steal them from their owners. The day I stop stealing delectable panties is the day when there are no more women in the universe. Anyway, we will talk later, I gotta get rid of this clown, Naruto said as he went to face the now delusional Kokubile, but not before winking at the two exorcist girls. Does he have to steal our panties every time we meet? Asked a blushing Zenobia while Irina looked away embarrassed. Facing off against Kokubile again, he found the guy with a sick grin, but he could tell Kokubile was struggling to keep the sword under his control. Man, the dude was desperate for a win. Looking at the sword, Naruto got this sick, insane idea in his head. Oh, he couldn't wait to see the look on Kokubile's face if he pulled this off. Crouching down, he did something that made his friends all face plant hard into the ground. Here Excalibur whistles, "Come on boy, come to daddy." Naruto started calling the sword like one would while making silly hand gestures. It was comical. It was even more comical when the sword began to rebel even harder, ripping itself out of Kokubile's grasp and float towards Naruto. The same could be said for the other pieces in Irina's hand. This surprised everyone. Oh, that's a good boy. Who's a good Excalibur? Yes, you are boy. Now time to fix you up, Naruto said as he materialized Avalon in front of Kokubile, shocking the man to the core. He had only seen that scabbard with one other being, and that being is dead and that scabbard lost forever. So in the blue blazes did this kid get his hands on it, and why is Excalibur responding to him? He watched in amazement as the fragments of the sword all turned into beautiful golden light particles which converged with the scabbard, producing a brilliant golden light that blinded everyone. When the light died down, everyone was treated to the sight of a reformed Excalibur floating near Naruto. Ah, that's better now. You are almost complete, only one piece left, Naruto said as he looked at his shocked audience. Everyone was left speechless by what they saw. They could feel Excalibur, the sword's power had tripled if not quadrupled, and this scared everyone, especially the devils, how were being affected by the power of the sword. How? Asked, or rather stammered. It didn't make a lick of sense what he was seeing. It defied the natural order of things. This kid is a big threat, bigger than the best of each faction if he keeps growing in strength. It doesn't matter. What matters is that you threatened to kill people I care about, and that's your sin. For that you must die. Angeloid, Naruto said with a knowing smirk, making Kokubile's eyes widen even further. If Naruto doesn't kill him, then he might as well die from a heart attack with all the surprises that Naruto was pulling on him. How did you know? Thank you for listening. I do hope you guys enjoy. If you guys enjoyed this, what if you want the next part of this video? Like, subscribe, and comment down below, and turn on the bell notifications. And also check out the other videos that I have created and enjoy. See you in the next video. Peace. Now, if you like this video, then I think you'll like this one, too. And if not, then respectfully fuck off.